You were like a raindrop that fell from a cloud when you hit the pavement. You were so loud, you were so loud, you were so loud, you were so loud. Even if I'm the only one who heard the sound, now I'm begging heaven, climbing clouds if only they send you back now, send you back now, send you back now. Hold on, darling, one more time. You wake up, wake up, wake up, and everything will be okay. I'll be okay. I'll be okay. You were like a snowflake fell to the ground here for a moment.
Welcome, everyone. Hello to everyone out there who is watching us today live. We are here to celebrate. This is totally a celebration of the Return to Zero DVD release, which happens tomorrow. And I know many of you out there already have your DVD pre-ordered, and other ones are going to be anxious to order. And so we're just here with a group of friends who were very excited are joining us today. And you can see some of our friends down here in all these little windows here. We have our friend Gina Harris from Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. We have Jesse Crum, who you will meet, who is from our first Still Project short film that we released called Mia Lane. We have Sam Dudley down there in Australia, and he's joining us to talk today about his piece. And we also have Sarah Alexander from G.A.P.P.S. And, of course, Mr. Hanish, I'm just going down the line. I should have introduced you first. Sorry.
Not at all. Not at all.
Totally going down the line here. And we have Tara Schaefer from Reconceiving and myself also representing the Still Project. And the reason that we all are here is because this DVD, the Return to Zero DVD, is so much more than just a film, just any other film DVD. It's packed with a wealth, as I've been calling it, a wealth of content that is going to be really amazing for people to receive when they buy their DVDs. So we're going to get started today, and during the course of the program, we will have a chance to talk with each of our friends that's joining us. But right now, I want to start with you, Mr. Hanish. How are you feeling on this eve of the DVD release?
I'm so excited, Carrie. And first of all, thanks for putting this together. I think this is, it's really wonderful to get together as a community and, celebrate this DVD, which, the film has always been about this community coming together and finishing it, and it being about, all of our children. The film has, and now we've expanded that circle with this DVD. And I'm really excited to tell people what's in it, because it's we've literally pushed the DVD technology to its limits, and we have as much content as you can have on a DVD without having 2 DVDs. So anyway, I'm thrilled. It's the night before Amazon is scheduled to ship and release DVDs to everybody. So it's really wonderful. Do you want to? I don't know. Where do you want to start? It's like there's so much good stuff to talk about.
I know. It's like, where do you begin? No, I want to say that all along I have been talking about being excited about this DVD coming out, particularly because there's a lot of reasons. First, we know that everybody out there who's been waiting to see it that hasn't had a chance to see it yet, this is an opportunity for them to see the film. But also for those who have already seen it, and a lot of people are already thinking about ways that they can utilize it in their communities. And, the first thing that comes to mind for me is, using it in the medical community and kind of as a training tool and as a tool to start conversation in that community specifically, as well as in grief support. There's so many areas, I think, that having this DVD available is going to make a world of difference for people. And why don't you, obviously this now makes it available to the world. So why don't you give us a little bit of update on what's going on with the film in the world?
Oh, absolutely. Well, here's, tomorrow's a huge date. In fact, I think it's, just about as big as our premiere date, because it does open this up to people around the world who, want to see the film. They can through Amazon.com, the U.S. version. They can order the film. We are attempting to get onto other platforms, and in the coming months, we'll hopefully get onto Amazons in different countries. But right now, per our distribution contract, we're available tomorrow to start selling through the U.S. Amazon.com. So there will also be other retailers that online retailers that are carrying it, is trying to get the film there. So that's super exciting. Just to kind of get everybody caught up with where we are with screenings. You all know last month we premiered the film, and we had a replay in the United States 8 days ago. We will be having another replay in the United States in July. That date hasn't been determined yet, but it'll be back on prime time, which is great. And then we are going to be Thursday night. We are on Lifetime in the United Kingdom and Ireland at 9 p.m. And then this Friday at 1:30 in the afternoon, we're on Lifetime Canada. And then some really exciting stuff. We've sold to 3 different distribution partners around the world in the past week. So to get you caught up there, we'll actually be on Armed Forces television, which is really exciting, because I know we have a lot of supporters, military families supporting us. So that's going to be available on July 28th on Armed Forces. Also, 2 really big European networks came on board this week. TF1 in France, which they're in fact broadcasting the World Cup right now. So they're a real network in France, and everybody I've talked to who lives in France is really excited. They have a September air date scheduled. The date's TBD yet. And in Spain, a big independent distributor, a TV distributor called Antenna 3, that would be Antenna Trace, is bilingual. Is going to be carrying that, and it's going to be up this fall as well. So it's great to see that we're opening up the gates as far as broadcast, and it's super exciting to have the DVD be going out tomorrow. And just to, again, to let people know a couple more details. Some questions have come around. Can I download it from iTunes? And within the week, you'll be able to download it from iTunes or Amazon. I think they call it. I forget what it is. Their Amazon download site. So we're getting it out in the world there. So we're starting with the DVD, but slowly but surely we're going to be getting it out to all sorts of different platforms, just so everybody can see the film, because that's been the whole goal all along.
Exactly, I agree, and I think making it as accessible as possible to as many people is great. But what I think the reason I'm excited about the DVD specifically and what's so special about it is because of all the extra content. So that's why what we're celebrating today, and what we're going to do right now is bring in our first guest, who is Sarah Alexander, and she is representing G.A.P.S, which is the Global Alliance to Prevent Prematurity and Stillbirth, and they're based out of Seattle Children's Hospital. So welcome, Sarah.
Hi, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us today. G.A.P.S has had kind of a relationship all along with Return to Zero. You guys have been incredibly supportive, and so we were excited to see that there is a short film piece included on the DVD from G.A.P.S. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
We're incredibly proud of that piece that's on the DVD. It really came out of the experiences of a number of parents, like Sean and Kylie, who experienced a stillborn child, and their feelings that people said things that just seemed so inappropriate when they went through the experience. And they wanted to sort of share what was important to them, and in gentle ways say, boy, this was a stupid thing for you to say, without quite saying it that way. And so we spent hours just in almost like focus groups talking about what was important and what they had felt, and then brought in a local film company that helped us make this, and I think really told the story of several different families in just a really concise, intimate way. And hopefully people who see it will learn to be better, more compassionate, more responsive, more loving in how they talk to friends and loved ones who lose a child through stillbirth or any other way.
Definitely, yeah, I think, and that's an incredibly important point, because that is one of the things we hear from families first and foremost all the time, is that, how insensitive things, are said to them. And I think, when we first started the SIL project, that was one of the things we talked about as well. And it's coming from a lot of times good, well-meaning people,
Absolutely.
Trying to come from a place of support and not really knowing where that place is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's amazing that you guys have put that together.
I think one thing that's always been interesting to me, so many of the mothers were told by their doctors, like the first thing they said was, you can have another baby. And to the mothers, that felt like a total disregard for the child that they did have. Whereas I suspect that the doctors are coming from a point of trying to say there's no medical reason why you couldn't have a successful pregnancy in the future. But instead it comes out as, don't worry about that one, you'll just have one to replace it. And obviously, no child can be replaced.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that's the point I think most parents want to get across first and foremost, above everything else, is that every child and every life is unique and individual and special to the family.
And real.
And definitely, exactly. Sean, can you tell us how, kind of how you got connected to G.A.P.S and what it means to have this piece on the DVD for you?
Well, I mean, G.A.P.S, Sarah reached out. She found us on, she and Casey found us on Twitter when we had I think we maybe had 50 followers, and they reached out and said, hey, this is who we are, and we'd love to, help support the film in any way we can. And then we got on the phone right away, and really, I mean, G.A.P.S was, you guys, I mean, once I researched what you were doing and all the amazing work that you do, I was frankly, I was blown away. And I knew that I just knew that I was grateful, and if we could put together a film that was good and powerful and maybe had some stars in it, that, it'd be a very symbiotic relationship. We could help raise awareness. You could help us raise awareness, and then we could also help raise awareness, not about the issue, but also about G.A.P.S too. So, I mean, in fact, you were the first folks that, Stacey, Sarah, I reached out to you first to ask if you'd want to have your short film on our DVD, because it was so amazing. I saw it while we were filming, and in fact spowed it to Minnie and Paul. We were about 2.5 weeks into filming when I think it was Brent Spraker sent it to me, and when you guys just released it, and I showed it to them, and it was just one of those days where I was like, I really need to show this to you guys, because it gets right to the heart. It's a beautiful piece, and so I just want to let you know that, because it was a part of our movie, and it was really, I think it was really meaningful for our two leads to see that and feel that and see the real parents and the families. So it's funny. I mean, I'd seen it a number of times, and I'm so impressed by the quality of what it is, but also, how deep it goes for a short film. It's amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, thanks for being part of the DVD. I wish I had some questions, but frankly, all I have are superlatives.
Oh, thanks.
it's incredible. I mean,
it's nice to have those too.
Well, I actually have a question for you, Sarah. Before we let you go, how do you see the Return to Zero DVD being utilized by GAPS? Do you see it, connecting with some of the programs there and maybe being utilized in the facilities there?
I hope so. One of the things that we're very aware of is that, as you heard from our name, we address issues around prematurity and stillbirth. And in a lot of ways, we're a lot farther along on the scientific side on getting research, sort of a research agenda going on prematurity. So we're really hoping that with the awareness that's raised around Return to Zero, and some other things that we'll be doing, we'll be able to raise the profile, raise the awareness around stillbirth, and be able to develop an interest in funders bringing forth money to help us understand on the medical level, on the biological level, why it is that stillbirth happens. Because you can't prevent something when you don't know why it happens. So there's a lot of research that needs to be done, and in order to do that, we've really got to get the research community and the funding community behind it and willing to put research money towards that topic.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point, and I can't tell you how happy we are too to see that piece included amongst everything else that's on the Return to Zero DVD, because it brings a very important conversation starter, into the picture. So, thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And we look forward to maybe talking to you again sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. And thanks so much for your support too.
So we're going to go to our next guest as we move along, which is Sam Dudley from Project Heal. And I know that Sam
Hello.
There he is. Hi, Sam.
Hey, Sam.
Hi, guys.
Everyone is always used to seeing Carly in that chair when we do these hangouts. But this is your show today, Sam, so welcome.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me. And yeah, it's I guess when Sean contacted Carly and asked us to put something together for the movie, we had a good long think about it, and we took it very seriously, of course. And yeah, we decided to put something in for from the dad's perspective. So that's why I'm sitting here today and not Carly.
Well, we're so glad to have you, and I think especially around Father's Day when we did that other Google Hangout that you were involved in, we just got a wonderful feedback from many fathers out there who were so many of them saying, thank you for speaking on my behalf, because many of the fathers don't feel that they have a place, or maybe they haven't had a safe place to share their own feelings and emotions surrounding this type of an experience. So can you tell us a little bit about the film that you have put together? And I know that it's incredibly special and people are going to really enjoy watching it, but what was it like for you putting that film together?
Well, it's always, even though you get emotional during the filming when you're reliving the situations surrounding the loss of a child, I still look back on it as being a beautiful experience and a very positive experience. So yeah, we covered through the filming, just went through the father's perspective of finding out that you're expecting a child, then getting the terrible news that your child has no possible way of living or living at all, and then witnessing your beautiful life, your soulmate, giving birth to a child that has passed away in utero, and so going very deep into those sorts of things and looking at it from a father's perspective, and then also from there, not carrying on with life, but learning how to deal with the grief, and it's all very raw. I mean, I'm a simple man. I put my emotions into words as best as I could, and so it's just a very down-to-earth experience, and it's a down-to-earth little clip that we've put together from a father's perspective, and which I think is very important. With the Return to Zero package, obviously there's there's Maggie, Minnie Driver's character, but it's not all about her. It's about Paul Alstein's character of Aaron as well. So I think hopefully it works well as a complete package with the DVD. And yeah, like I said before, we're very honoured to be a part of it.
I've said this before too in talking to Sean about writing and directing this film. Is one of the really special things is that he did write it and direct it from a father's perspective. A lot of times when you see different organizations for support for families like this out there, most of the time it's the moms. They always say, if you want something done, give it to a mom because she'll get it done. But that's what I love about this film, is that it was really the heart of a father that brought it to life. And so, Sean, maybe you can tell us a little bit about why it's special for you to have this father's piece on the DVD.
Well, it's so incredibly special because when I contacted Carly about doing a piece, I just anticipated it was going to be something about her art, and I actually didn't give her any parameters. I just said, I know the way that you approach things, and what would you like the film to be about? And then when then they sent it to me and they didn't tell me anything, and I watched it, and I was blown away, and I was moved to tears by Sam. Your openness and your honesty is incredibly brave and beautiful in this film, and you two put together such a beautiful piece that I know that a lot of people follow Carly and they know a lot about her story, but to hear your guys' story from your perspective was, it was amazing. I hadn't even. It's just such a brilliant concept, and your execution is wonderful. So, and then I started thinking, wow, what a great companion piece to the film, because, I know a lot of people talk about the Maggie character and the Maggie journey, and of course we do, but this helps highlight, I think, Paul Edelstein and the father's journey, which is different but similar, which has its own challenges. So I think it's just brilliant what you did, Sam, and thank you.
Oh, thank you for allowing us to be involved with such an important work. Such an important work for the world. It's very groundbreaking what you're doing, and we're honoured to be involved. And we couldn't have done it without the help of our friend Luke Jago, who's very handy with the camera. We're lucky to have a good friend, because otherwise it just would not have happened. We couldn't afford to go out and get a pro to film it for us. And also our high school friend Damien Greenwood, who is passionate about score music and a very good musician himself, so he was able to put something together for us to go with the piece. So we're very, very lucky.
Well, we're really, we're all really lucky to have your voice, and because I know we've talked and stuff, but to hear you tell Christian's story it's so beautiful, and it's just so well done, and I'm really excited for people to see it.
Oh, it's great. Thank you. It means a lot. My pleasure.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you again for being here with us today. I'm excited as well for people to see it. I think it's going to be having a fantastic impact, and a lot of the dads, I'm sure, are already looking forward to it when they receive their DVD. So, thanks again for being here. We're going to move to our next guest, which is Tara Schaefer. And Tara Schaefer is from Reconceiving Loss. And I know that Return to Zero and Reconceiving Loss have a pretty special connection. So I'm going to welcome you, Tara. Thank you for joining us. We're so happy to have you here. And of course, you're here because you do have a piece on the DVD, but you also have another connection with Return to Zero. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that and the archive?
Well, I would first like to say that I'm just so incredibly honored to be here. This community is extraordinary, and this opportunity to speak to this issue is my great honor. So thank you all so much. Reconceiving Loss is an online resource center that tries to provide sort of healing and reflective mechanisms for people who are dealing with the loss of a pregnancy or an infant. The video on the Return to Zero DVD specifically concerns the digital archive. And the digital archive is a sort of a collection of stories from people who can submit them, stories of anything that occurs from miscarriage through to neonatal death. It sort of grew out of two things, really. One was the beautiful anthology put out by Return to Zero and G.A.P.P.S called 3-1, which is a collection of stories of people who shared very generously their losses so that people could better understand that they're not alone. I read that anthology. I saw it develop from afar. And that sort of led to the second inspiration for it, which was that prior to being a mother, I worked with refugees from all over the world. And one of the things I did was to take documentation. So I would interview people who had survived all sorts of traumatic experiences. Now, obviously, this is a very, very different situation on many different levels. But the thing that was singularly clear to me was that there is extraordinary empowerment to telling one's story and to having that story join a kind of to come together, and so that many voices make one huge chorus, basically. And we can all see that the experiences that we have and that we share are, while they're incredibly unique, do reflect the same kind of experiences of how we want to honor our children, the power of documentation. And I think that's actually one of the things that all of these contributors have in common, is that in different ways we have documented our loss. We have made sure that the world does not forget our babies. And we have encouraged others to do the same. So my intent with the archive is to keep it open as a public project and to hope that people will consider honoring us with sharing their story. Because when it's sent to us, we have it join the digital archive. We circulate it on our networks. We encourage people to do the same. Many, many times we get wonderful comments back from people who don't know what, the author of the piece that they're reading at that time. I've received scores of beautiful, heartbreaking, incredible stories that are, I can't even describe the honor that I have in having anything to do with them. People who just recently suffered a loss that are brave enough to share it, people who suffered a loss up to 40 or 50 years ago that are brave enough to share it. The sense of silence that surrounds this is so palpable, and yet I can feel it loosening somewhat, and that is such a credit to the Return to Zero movie and to all of the work of all of you. I mean, it's just amazing. So that's kind of the archive in short.
Great. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing that. We should probably tell people where they can find that archive as well. If they go online, is it just, it's at reconceivingloss.com?
It's at reconceivingloss.com, and it's prominently featured at the welcome page. It says read the stories in the archive, or you can click on the movie icon.
Oh, that's great. So, Sean, tell us kind of how you got connected to Tara and how this all came to be. This is such a great partnership.
It's amazing. I mean, I'm so grateful, Tara, for everything that you're doing. I went onto the site yesterday and saw, this is so funny. I mean, I hadn't been on for probably a couple weeks with everything that's going on, but I saw so many new pages of stories, and it was so, I don't know, it just felt so great to have a place where people can go and have access to read and to write. And there were a couple pieces about Father's Day, and it's amazing because, I mean, and thanks for mentioning the book. We're really proud of the book 3-1. Hope people get a chance to read that. But what's also neat is that this is what's at Reconceiving Loss is living and breathing. I mean, it's current. I mean, you can go there and explore. Anyway, it's a beautiful. I'm really grateful because it's a beautiful site. It has a beautiful heart. There's and this is in the video too that you put together. Like the writer the writer and it seems like writing coach Edie. She just, I mean, it's so neat to hear what she has to say about, you know, the thing. I'm gonna butcher what she said, but it was like the thing about you writing what's difficult. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It was, I mean, I know I'm butchering it, but basically it was like go to the thing that's the hardest because that's where the gold is.
She says we're not afraid of something unless there's a treasure within it.
Yeah, and it was so beautifully put. And anyway, I think it's just a really neat place for people to go and share. And with your background, you know, working with refugees, it's just it's super. So it's really, and thanks for putting the piece together for the DVD because I think it'll be great to get the word out about, you know, about the site and about the archive.
Oh, Sean, it's a tremendous honor. Thank you so much to both you and Kylie and all of you. It's amazing to have anything to do with this.
I'm thinking too, as you were talking about having that place to explore, you know, where people can go and explore other stories. What I'm hopeful is that it will inspire people who, you know, because a lot of people are afraid and think, oh, I'm not a writer, you know, I don't know how to write, I don't know how to approach something like that, especially something that difficult. But I'm hopeful that even if it's not something you want to share with the world, that maybe it will inspire people to journal for themselves. Because, you know, the writing process is just so incredibly healing.
So healing. And may I just add that on the website there is a tutorial by Edie Madoff, who's the writer that Sean just mentioned. She's one of the most well thought of writing teachers in the country. She's extraordinary. And she also wrote a primer for prompts about writing about grief. So that there are different steps that one can take on, you know, they may not want to put it out there right away, that's fine. They also may want to put it out anonymously, that's also fine. So, you know, there are different ways that it can be used. And also, if somebody were to change their mind, I would, of course, always respect any wishes and take anything off. So it's a nice way to put your story out there. It's a nice way to be heard and to be sort of valued and supported within a community on your terms, with you sort of in charge of what you're putting out there and what you're saying.
Exactly. No, I think that's such a special gift to have that there. So thank you so much for doing that, for putting that together, and for making it available to the DVD, and also for joining us today, Tara. It's been great to have you here.
It's an honor. Thank you.
We are moving right along, and we have another special guest that's joining us now, and that is Gina Harris, who a lot of people out there recognize from Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, which is another fantastic organization that has touched the lives of so many families with their special gift. Hi, Gina. How are you today?
Hello. I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for having me.
We're honored to have you here, and I know Sean also is honored that your short film piece about Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep is on the DVD. So we're excited that's included as well. Can you tell us kind of how that piece came to be?
Absolutely. Well, for those of you who don't know, Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep is a nonprofit organization, and we provide remembrance photography to parents suffering the loss of a baby. Our images we provide are of professional quality. All of the photographers are 100% volunteer, and so these photographs are complimentary to our families. The photographs serve as a healing process for our families, and it also shows that their babies are real. Now, when I first heard about Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, it was shortly after my first son was diagnosed with Potter syndrome, and I knew that he would not live through or much past the birth process. And I never really thought of photographing him. It never crossed my mind, and I had to think about it for a little bit. But I have to say, those photographs are my most prized possession, and I really know their healing power because I lost a second son from a different condition, and it was very, very severe. We were not able to photograph him. On Wednesday, it's his birthday, Ethan, and when it's David's birthday, I can show photographs of him on Facebook and to my friends to show that he is real. With Ethan, I just today put up his ultrasound picture because that's all I have of him. And so Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep our video that we've provided within the Return to Zero video shows the importance of photographs. We try to make sure we have photographers available, not just throughout the U.S., but around the world. Unfortunately, we can't keep up with the demand. So if anyone gets anything out of this video, it's the importance of photographs. And while some families may at first say, you know, I'm not sure if this is something I want to do, I've never had a family come back to our organization and say, why did you take photographs? I wish you wouldn't have done that. If anything, we have the families come back and say, I found out about you too late. I turned down your services. I'm hoping that this video will help people be more aware of the importance of photography, that the medical personnel will see that it's important, and if there isn't a Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep photographer available, that they will take it upon themselves to encourage the parents to photograph their baby. I wish I was encouraged to do that with Ethan as well. Even if he were covered with a blanket and my husband and I holding him, that would have meant so much to me. I wasn't in the right state of mind. I needed somebody to think through that for me, even though I knew how important those photographs of David were to me. So I'm hoping this video will help shed some light on the importance of the photographs. It helps with the healing process, and it helps people know that our babies are real and we love them and they mean so much to us.
Definitely, and you know, and I've mentioned this before too. You know, we don't have professional photographs. We have the photograph that my aunt, who was a nurse, happened to grab a disposable camera and took of Elena. But for us, it means the world just to even have those. You know, so I know exactly what you mean. Sean, and I know that this is a particularly good topic for you to talk to because you included that in the film, in Return to Zero. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came to be in the film?
Yeah, well, I mean, that came through our personal experience. When, as in the film, you know, when Kylie found out that you know, our son no longer had a heartbeat, and a few hours later we were meeting with the doctor, you know, he mentioned that we could take photographs, and I remember thinking how macabre that sounded, how morbid. But I brought a camera anyway, and we took a couple photos, and as Gina said, they're the most prized photos my wife and I have, and it's what we have. It's what we have of Norbert. And so that's why, I mean, I just think the work that, and I've told you this before, Gina, but the work that you guys do at Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep is so, I mean, it's just so important. It's so beautiful, and it's so important, and you're on the front lines, you know? I mean, you know. But I mean, it's just amazing, and I mean, I remember, Carrie, you and John, when you saw the film the first time, and I had I had those still images in, and you're like, oh, make sure that people can see that they're photographs, really photographs, and so I like worked on the contrast. I made it even more black and white, and because I remember you saying that, you're like, because this is really important for people to know that you can take photographs, and we were talking about, you know, Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. So I think it's a really, I mean, it's the most impactful part of the film, and that's why this piece is has such a symbiotic relationship with the movie, and in that people can really, you know, the more people know about Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep and the great work that you guys do, you know, the more that, you know, the nurses, the doctors, the friends can say, oh, here's who you need to call right now. When it happens, because unfortunately we all know how often it happens, way too often. So anyway, I'm just really grateful for that, and I'm also I do want to give a shout out to David, because we ended up, I don't know if, I mean, Gina knows this, not a lot of people know this, but when we contacted you guys, we got a picture of this beautiful little boy, and we ended up putting he's the picture of David is Connie Nielsen's, Dr. Claire's baby. That's David's picture in the movie. And in fact, we changed the characters, the son that she lost, we changed the name to David once we found out that was his name. And so it's just like all of this. I mean, this is the most amazing community in the world, and working together, we can all really change things, and this is one of the ways. So that was, I just talked way too long. Gina, I don't know what to say. The video is beautiful. The work you guys do is beautiful. Thank you.
Well, and thank you for including us in this, Sean, because the more people who know that it's okay to hold your baby and to photograph your baby, I think it'll help future parents who unfortunately will suffer infant loss and stillbirth will see that this is important to them. I do want to thank the families that we interviewed in our video, Mark and Erin Willer and their baby Milo, also Kim and Jason Smith and their baby Grace, and then Gabe and Jana Krell and their baby May. Those three couples bravely shared their stories and their babies with us. This video wouldn't have been possible without them. And I have to say that I've been involved in nonprofit work my whole career. I have a master's in nonprofit education. I know a little bit about nonprofits. And I have to say our volunteers, our photographers, but we also have a number of other volunteers that make this happen. We have 4 people in our office, and we are all over the world, and it's because of our volunteers. We could not do this without them. I just am amazed daily on how these volunteers just step up and are mobilized to be available for families. It just blows me away. So I have to thank every single one of our volunteers, and then also our 2 founders, Sandy Putsch and Cheryl Haggard. And Cheryl, in the midst of her grief, when she was determining when she should take her son Maddox off life support, thought about those photographs, that she wanted something special to hang on her wall. And little did she know in that time of grief that tens of thousands of families would benefit from photographs because of her thought of photographing baby Maddox. So I'd like to thank the founders as well, and Sandy, who dropped everything to go and photograph Maddox and helped start this organization as well. Many people make this happen, and many people who are watching are part of that, and I want to thank them.
Yeah, we definitely thank them, and we thank you as well, Gina. Thank you so much for joining us today and telling us more about the connection with Return to Zero, and specifically about the photographs. I do want to say that if people want to find out more about Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, they can go to nowilaymedowntosleep.org, to the website. And we will be putting all the websites to all of these organizations in the annotations of today's broadcast, so people will be able to find all the resource there as well. So thank you, Gina.
Thank you.
We are going to move on to our last special guest, and this is Jessie Crum, who is joining us from Montana today. And Jessie is our connection, the Still Project connection, to the Return to Zero DVD, because it's her family's story that is included in the short film called Mia Lane, which was the first short film that we have released. So hi, Jessie, welcome.
Hi.
We're so excited to have you here today, and I know that even just from people who've seen Mia Lane and the feedback that we've gotten, the story is tremendous, and it touches a number of different people in a number of different ways. One of the reasons for that is because it's a multi-generational story. So just like when we were talking to Sam earlier about bringing in a father's perspective, what I think is great about Mia Lane is it brings in multi-generational in one family, how different people can be affected, our lives are affected and changed forever when a baby dies under various circumstances, because we all know there's so many different circumstances in which a baby can die, and your story kind of covers a lot of that. So can you tell us a little bit about what it was like for you to go through the process of making Mia Lane with us?
Well, it was good and bad. It was really exciting to be a part of this project and to know that our story would be told, to be able to share Mia with everyone. But on the flip side of that, it was really hard, and it was hard to go back to that time and really relive all those moments. It was really hard for my mom as well, probably more so for her than it was for me, just because she hadn't talked about it at all. And I was fortunate enough to have support and to be able to talk about Mia, and I had a pretty good support group, but my mom didn't at all. So for her to really open up and go back to that place was really hard, but really good at the same time.
Yeah, and it was, I think the process of making that film was sort of life-changing for all of us, you know. And I should say that Jesse and I have known each other through the magic of the internet for years. You know, it's been many years now. It's been over a decade that we've known each other, but we didn't actually meet until we were filming. We were doing the shoot for Mia Lane, and it's funny, you know, we have this long list of people, different subjects who offer different perspectives that we want to bring to the Still Project. But when we talked about putting the first short film together, Jonathan and I both just knew that there was something about this story that we knew because of, you know, it covers you, your mom, and your grandmother, and it covers 3 babies in one family, that it would really bring something special to what we were doing and kind of set the tone for the rest of what we want to do with the Still Project. So I want to thank you for opening yourself up, and your family as well, who were so gracious to let us come and film with you and spend time going through that. So Sean, I know when Sean asked us if we, you know, had something that we wanted to share with the Return to Zero DVD, of course, that was the first thing that came up. And Sean, the first time that you watched Mia Lane, what did you think about it?
Man, I got to tell you guys, that is one. You know, I'm pretty picky about what I like, and that's one of the best short films I've ever seen.
Wow, thank you.
It's so powerful, and it keeps surprising you and going deeper. And that film it's what I mean, Carrie, what you and John put together, and Jesse, what you and, you know, your family shared, is it's going to help people a lot. I mean, it's such a, I don't really have any words for it, because I also don't want to spoil it for people. I just know that it's a must watch. It's a great short film, and I'm gonna get a little choked up because it's just the emotions are so on all your sleeves, and it's you guys. But what you did, I mean, it's beautiful. So thank you, Jesse, and thank your family, because you guys didn't hold back at all, and it takes a lot of courage, but by doing so, I really think that a lot of people who've been through the same circumstance, I just think there's going to be a lot of lessons and a lot of new understanding because of what you did, because of your bravery. So thank you.
Thank you. We're really honored to be a part of all of this. To be a part of any of this is really amazing.
And Jesse, we have a couple minutes. So I just wanted to find out, now that Mia Lane is out there, and, you know, your family has seen it, has there been more discussion amongst the family? Has there been more talking about, you know, the circumstances and the feelings and everything?
There's been some, but at the same time, it's still just, you know, really hard to go back to that place and that time, and so not a ton. I think we had talked about it a lot before we filmed, and that was good, that we knew that we were going to have this film happen, and we were able to. I think we talked about it more before the film than afterwards.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. But I think that's, you know, going back to what I said earlier, Sean, about the beauty of this DVD is that it is something that people can have, and it's there, you know, and you might not be ready for all of it at any given time, you know, but it's there. And having that as a resource, I think, for people is just incredibly powerful. So we're very honored to have your story, Jesse, included, and thank you, Sean, for calling us and giving us that opportunity.
honestly, it's an honor. I'm so grateful you guys said yes, because it's really going to be neat for. It's just going to be neat to the people to share. I mean, when people sit in their with their family members, or grief groups, or they screen it for some doctors and nurses at a hospital. It doesn't just end with a movie. It's not just the hour and 45-minute movie, which I'm really grateful for. I mean, you can go in any direction you want on that DVD. You can find more resources. You can find out about some of the amazing organizations that are doing important work and join them or support them. You can go deeper and go into other people's stories, like Mia Lane, or like Christian's Beach with Sam and Carly. It's spectacular. And then there's also some there's some other stuff on the DVD too, with behind the scenes videos, which is really fun for people. But there's also all this. There's just a lot of gold in this DVD, because, like this has been the entire time, everybody's chipped in and everybody's put their hearts into it. And again, this is about the community. This is about all of us. So I thank you, Carrie.
Thank you. No, it's been an honor. The entire journey has been an honor for us. And thank you again, Jesse, for joining us and making the time to be with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Jesse.
So, Sean, and just kind of circling back, and wrapping things up, I think we have given people a lot of incentive for owning their own copy of Return to Zero, because there really is so much beauty and depth and such power there. So what would you like to say to the world, about this DVD and about the film?
Well, the thing I'd like to say is I would love for people to own it, and then I'd love for people to share it. I would love for you, if you have the DVD, to take it to your grief group and show it to them, to share it with a friend or family member who needs it. I think it's a great way for people to understand what we've been through, with everything that's on it. And just so everybody knows, we literally, like, when I was thinking about the DVD, I wasn't thinking about, like, let's just show the movie in a different way. I really, really wanted people to have this, experience of more. Whether you're a cinephile or interested in more backstory of the actors, or what was it like behind the scenes, you can do that. But and as I just said, or you can go and find out about all these other organizations and stories. So it just widens the circle. So it's what I've always wanted it to be, is Return to Zero becomes just the entry point for the discussion, because there's so much more that we can do, and there's so much more that we have to do, not only in raising awareness, but in taking action and in supporting each other. And I guess at the end of the day, that's what I'm the most grateful for, is that, look what you can do when a bunch of people get really passionate about something, and they check their egos and they work together. And that's what this DVD is. It's a bunch of people who care. And I'm grateful to all of them. I'm grateful to everyone who contributed to it.
Exactly.
And
I think you hit
I'm also just really, really excited for people. Yep. I'm sorry, go ahead, Carrie.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I think I lost you for a second there. But no, I was just going to say you hit the nail on the head with everybody bringing their passions and what they do well. I think a lot of times when this happens to you and you think, I have to do something, and you might not know what that is. But what I always tell people is to stick to your gut and your passions and do what it is that you do well, that you love to do. For some people that's writing, and for some people that's photography. For some people that's filmmaking. For some people that's jumping in and volunteering at an organization where they can just be a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on. Mm-hmm. There's such a variety of opportunities out there for people to do something in honor of their child, to live in honor of their children. And so I think that's one of the great things about this DVD, is it shows that diversity. And you've got it all collected right there in one spot. So that's great.
Well, and I think that's the neat part. And you said this is, you can watch the film and you can take a day off, and then you can watch the shorts, or you can pick and choose. I mean, it's a nice piece. I mean, that's the reason we put 3 hours of material on it. We meant for it to be a great place for people to, experience what this community is like. And I know people experience that through the film and seeing the beautiful role of our children at the end of the movie. But this is a different way to experience the community, and I'm just so proud of it. I mean, I know I've said in a couple things. These were handpicked. I mean, I came to each of you, all these people that have done such amazing work and who I care about and who've supported us, and so I love all these pieces. So everybody did a really great job, and I'm just excited for people to start seeing it because, as much as I know the film has started open conversation, this will open up even more.
Definitely, definitely, yeah. And on that note, I just want to encourage everyone to go to the Return to Zero website, returntozerothemovie.com, which is where you can order a copy of the DVD as well as the soundtrack. It's got links to all of the wonderful partners and all the great things that are going on with the film right now. And before we go, I do want to thank again all of our friends who have joined us today, because you have brought so much to this program and to this film project. So thank you, Gina and Jesse and Sam and Sarah and Tara, and especially Sean. Thank you for bringing us all together in this really special way.
You're welcome, and thanks for hosting this wonderful discussion. It's really neat and exciting.
Thank you.
Skyline, ask me what,